everyone, welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This week I'm going to be teaching you another tutorial on how to darn. Now, not darning in the traditional sense with socks, because that's the most common type of darning I've found when doing some research, but no, I want to share how to darn stockings. Yes, the concept may seem really odd, but it was something that they did for centuries, I suppose you could say, and probably heightened in the 1940s because of rationing of clothing. The opportunity to buy new stockings probably wasn't there for them. So I want to share how they would have mended their stockings and maybe apply it in today's world. It kind of seems pointless in a way, I suppose, in a modern world, because we can just easily buy new stockings. We're in such a disposable society and so many different products and available that we're like, oh, it's a hole in my stocking, I'll just toss them out and I'll buy a new pair. And I suppose I want to bring back that traditional sort of mending, that vintage skill, I suppose you could say, to utilizing and seeing if you can get some longer wear out of your stockings. A particular reason why I considered doing this was because I've got some really nice, what Katie did, seamed fashion stockings, and because I've only got one pair of each color and I don't want to spend more money on buying these really nice fashion stockings, I thought I'd repair them. So I've got quite a few that I've accidentally put holes in because I've been trying to get them up, or they're just snagged on something. So therefore I want to extend the lifetime of these stockings. Now, in the 1940s, I suppose before then, they had little darning kits, and they were quite popular. And what they pretty much are, so they come in either a little box, or the women may have made their own little darning kit. So this is an example of one that I was able to find, a little hosiery kit. You can see there. And inside is a selection of colours depending on your skin tone and on the stockings colours. You can see there. Or often they could have been look like that. And you've got a different like peachy colour, that down to different ones there. And actually this one's got the original owner's name on the back, which is kind of cool. So yeah, these threads might have been made out of silk or nylon, depending on the material of the stockings at the time, I believe. And obviously, yeah, modern stockings are a different material. They're actually made differently these days because, as you can see, like the seam is now like a fashion thing. Back in the day when stockings were made, they had that seam because that was how they made. They were stitched at the back, stitched at the back to create the stocking. And I think they occurred maybe a bit before the 1900s, and according to my research they were like, it wasn't fashionable to have a seam or line down the back of your leg. But as dresses and skirts got shorter, the idea of having a seam kind of became like a fashion thing. It was like, oh, that's kind of cool, let's put a seam down the, like, it added a bit of element to their fashion. And then obviously in the 1940s, when rations came around, only having to have like 2 pairs of stockings and not being able to buy any more, they had to mend. They had to use what they had. They even had liquid stockings. I know one of the vintage girls recently did a video about this, having liquid stockings and drawing the seam down the back of your leg. The extents they went to create that look was rather fascinating. So yeah, I want to show you how to mend your stockings, the process of it, and what it looks like at the end. So another article I was doing some research about, because I find this stuff really fascinating, like the mindset of people who would have done this, and what drove them, I suppose. Well, of course rations would have, but just really interesting. And one article I found was talking about how they had this picture they found, and it was a picture of a woman's legs, and it had the mending down the middle of the stocking at the front. You can see that. And they were describing them, and they're described in how they looked like scars in a way. But they had this really amazing quote that I want to read to you, because I think it just hits the nail on the head when it comes to mending in a modern world. Why do it? It's kind of a choice these days. It's not a necessity as it was back then. But anyway, this is the quote. Whereas mending was once the provenance of those who could not afford new clothes. I'll read that again. Whereas mending was once the provenance of those who could not afford new clothing. The article notes, today's visible mending is the provenance primary of those who can afford the time and attention it takes to make one's clothes into a statement. The poor can't afford not to wear nice clothes. I just thought it was so fascinating. I'll read that last line about the modern times. Like, today's visible mending shows that those who can afford the time and attention to make one's clothes into a statement. And I would say care for it more and to make sure it has even longer wear. I just thought it very fascinating. Anyway, I'm rambling on. I want to show you how you do this. So what do you need? Now, you may not have your own darn it or mending kit at home, but you might be able to find similar coloured thread, a note on thread. So what Katie did was saying, the stocking brands lady was saying that you won't be able to use these darning kits on their stockings because of the material and the fine woven knit of the stocking. So when you do the darning on it, it will become quite obvious, and the thread texture and material of the thread may not be the same as a stocking, so it's going to stand out, be more prominent. But I just want to trial and error and see how it goes. So yes, if you can find either silk thread or nylon thread in a shade that suits your stocking, you're onto a good start, and you need a needle. And then something either like a darning mushroom if you have one, or maybe a round object of some sort that you can put the stocking on so you can start doing the stitching. That's my tips on how to start it, and I'll show you how to do the knit darning pattern sort of thing, how to mend a stocking. Let's go. Now, because the thread is 3 thickness, I don't know how you'd say that, I'm just going to see if I can split it in half, because the stockings I've got are quite fine. So I'm going to split that down the middle, save that for later. Now when you do stitch, you need to put the stocking inside out so that the bulk of it that you mend goes to the inside and goes against the skin, so you don't see the thickness of the stitch or the bulk of material that you just stitched together. 2 hours later, right, thread on there. I think I made that double. Oh well, accidentally made it double, but that's okay. So then you're going to get your darning mushroom or your random object that you found, and you are going to turn it inside out. So I have quite a big ladder here. I don't know whether I'm going to be able to stitch that whole ladder. It may make it quite prominent, but we'll see. How to do this lovely ladder. If it was just a singular hole, I would stitch all the way down, all the way up, and then I would go this way across stitching, and then I'd stitch up this way to close in the hole, so that would bring it all together. But as this is a ladder and it starts from right up here, I'm going to stitch all the way down the end of the ladder by doing a thread that goes across. Let's try it out. This is where it starts, and I'm just going to slowly stitch. Now this is the inside of the stocking as well, so any bulk will go against your skin. It won't be out in the side. Looking quite dodgy, but as I said, it's trial and error. Holes are definitely easier and more streamlined, whereas ladders are a bit more difficult. So I'm just going to go along and do this, and I'll get back to you. watched that and went, oh my goodness, Claire, what are you doing? You basically have not done it like they did back in the 1940s or earlier, please let me know, because as I said, there was minimal resources available online that I found. Yes, I found how to repair a hole in a stocking, and I have showed you how to do that, do the different pattern. But when it comes to giant ladders, you probably like, just throw it in the bin. But I'm like, no, my stockings, I love them. So if you looked at that and went, oh dear, you done that historically inaccurately, or not how it's meant to be, please let me know. But I think it's kind of worked out. I will show you the end product once I finish the rest of the ladder, but I think it's actually done pretty well. But that's just me, my mending mindset, I suppose you could say. So I'm going to finish this off and we're going to see what it looks like. Whether it looks terrible, we'll see. It's meant to be the last bit of my thread. So I've just finished it. I'm going to turn it inside out and I'm going to show you what it looks like, and whether it looks terrible, because I hope it doesn't. I don't know. I'm doubting my skill sets now and whether I'm actually showing something half decent. But anyway, we'll try it out and see how it looks. Just kinda as I expected. The finished product, just like the photos, it looks like they've got a little bit of a seam slash scar going on. You can see that. I think it looks okay, to be honest. I think it looks fine. You should be proud to mend. Be like, look, I gave a new lease on life on my stockings. But you may have a second opinion, that's okay. But I think that turned out alright. I think we're into a winner. I've shown you how to mend a hole or a bit of a ladder in a stocking through using darning. Now, bonus content. When I lovingly purchased and worn these What Kay did stockings for the first time, I put my hand in them, didn't I? Especially this green pair. So I want to experiment. I don't know if it's going to work out, but I want to see if I can split the stocking into two for stay-ups. Yeah, with the garter clip. I don't know if that's possible, but I thought maybe that way I've repaired the split, and it's not gonna, the ladder, it's not gonna run any further, and I'd be able to use them with my garter belt. So, I don't know if you can see that. You can't really see it, but you can see, yeah, there's a fuzzy edge there. And then I've done the same in the inside leg as well. So, quite a travesty. But I thought maybe I could, because I haven't been able to wear them because they're broken. So again, come back to like, you know, throwaway society. I don't want to throw these away because I like my green pair. So I'm going to try that out as well as bonus mending content on today's video. Let's try this out. So pretty much the process is going to be using the darning kit, cutting it down the middle. I'm really scared to do that actually. Stitch up the side, stitch up the middle bit, and then see how we go. I'm going to keep this bit because you'll need that to stay up. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. So upon fixing my ladder, I've decided it may not be practical to hand stitch once I cut this in half. So I'm going to do a part 2, see if we can actually turn stockings into stay-ups. I think it'd be really ingenious, to be honest. Like, I reckon it'd be kind of cool to see if it's actually possible. So I'm thinking I'll have to do this in a part 2. I'll have to do some more research to work out how best to stitch it up and whether actually, I don't think the sewing machine would work. So leave with me, I'm going to do some research and I might do a part 2 tutorial on how to turn these stockings into stay-ups. But I'm not going to do it now because I don't want to muff it up and make it worse than what it actually is. So come back for that one. Now you may have millions of ruined stockings that you're slowly hoarding, or maybe that's just me. I think it's just me. But if you do not fret. There is multiple ways you can use old stockings with the following. Number 1, you can use them to hold up as like vegetable stakes with your vegetable stakes. So stripping them down into little pieces, almost little ties, and you can tie your vegetables to their vegetable stakes. There's another use. You can also recycle old stockings through textile waste companies such as Up Apparel, I think that's how you say it, and they'll make it into new things. What else can we make with stockings? There's all sorts of things. Make costumes out of these, but you can just rethink how you can use them. I know the vegetable stakes is probably like my number one reuse thing in the garden, tying up things, tying up trees, branches. It's just great because it's obviously stretchy material, works really well, and you can cut them up. But if you can't use them like that, make sure you recycle your old stockings, because we want to make new stockings out of the old ones. So that's it from me. I hope you learned something about our lovely darning kits, the history of darning. It's a really fascinating vintage skill, I suppose you could say it, that I haven't found much research on, so I'm adding to that collection of information out on the internet. And yes, and maybe I've inspired you to maybe try darning with your stockings and mending your stockings as well. So that's it from me. I will see you next time. Who knows what I'm going to be talking about next time. I think we're in a new month soon, so it must be time for a new Land Girls Diary segment. So that's it from me. And thank you so much for supporting my crazy YouTube channel journey, because editing and making videos and finding time each week to make videos is kind of hectic. So I hope you're enjoying this content. Don't forget to let me know if you've got any ideas or tutorials or things you want to learn about vintage skills, maybe about my life. Just let me know. I'm pretty open to anything, and even feedback. I love feedback. So that's it from me. See ya. Have a great week.